Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
It's Ham Radio.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live, episode number 270, CQ Worldwide, and the new youth category, recorded live on Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by John Dorr, K1AR, and we'll take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week here on the show, Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD, was here to talk about the Portable Ops Challenge. If you missed that show, you can listen anytime at hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. And you can catch the rebroadcast on WTWW 5085 on your AM dial Saturday afternoons at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And that Portable Ops Challenge is coming up this weekend, so give that a shot if you so desire. We'll get your questions ready to go here about CQ Worldwide. We'll be talking about that tonight, and again, specifically the youth category, but we may branch out a little bit on that. If you're listening to us live on Thursday night, you can give us a call during the second half of the show. I'll go ahead and give you the phone number so you can write it down, have it ready to go, punch it in, and rip the knob off. Here we go. It's 859-982-7373. Again, the phone number is 859-982-7373. You can also tweet us. It's at Ham Talk Live on Twitter. If you're on Spreaker, type in the comments, and that'll pop up on the screen here. And I'll be back with John right after this word from ICOM America right here on Ham Talk Live. Contest remotely or from the comfort of your own home. ICOM has the perfect base station ready for action. The IC9700, IC7610, and the IC7300 SDR transceivers are top of the line and are the first choice for contesters across the globe. Robust base stations like these cut through pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Stay connected and keep your competitive contesting edge with ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Create your own band opening with the IC9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy: faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. It has a 4.3-inch color TFT LCD screen, real-time high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display, smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels and full duplex in satellite mode, and dual watch operation. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR can pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent ones. The ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has RF direct sampling, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receiver, and dual Digicel. The The IC 7300 changed the way entry-level HF is designed. This high-performance innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. With RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD card slot. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
Coming to you live from the glass enclosed Faraday box. Here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Thanks to ICOM America for sponsoring the show. Make sure you visit them often at icomamerica.com/amateur. Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Tonight, John Dorr, K1AR, joins us on the Orlando Amateur Radio Club and Hamcation Zoom line. John was named the CQ Worldwide DX Contest Director in 2018, and he's been a member of the CQ Worldwide Contest Committee since the mid-70s. He was also CQ Magazine's contest editor from 1989 until 2011, and he's a two-time WRTC medalist. He was elected to the CQ Contest Hall of Fame in 1997. So, John, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm very glad to be here and appreciate the invitation, Neil. Looking forward to tonight's talk.
Well, you know, fall is upon us. It's not quite here yet. The temperatures are starting to get a little bit better, but that means it's getting time for CQ Worldwide, and as my friend Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD, says, you know, it's a good chance to get your DXCC in a weekend. But we're going to talk a little bit about something new that's come to CQ Worldwide, as well as some other contests, and that's the youth category. So tell us a little bit about how this all got started.
Well, you know, it's funny when we think about the fall and things cooling down in the contest world, that things are actually heating up, and particularly in the CQ Worldwide, which is I think indisputably the largest contest in the world, probably, if you judge it by the number of participants or number of logs that we receive. You know, literally many millions of QSOs are made in every contest when you add them all up, with all the stations participating and 18,000 logs and all of that. And one of the legacies that I kind of inherited when I took over the reins of directing the contest back in 2018 was the fact that the CQ Worldwide has always been known as kind of a trend-setting contest, that we have innovated lots of things, perhaps for the first time, and in the world of contesting. And I think the idea around doing something with youth is very consistent with that philosophy and that legacy that has been with us for so long. And you know, if you think about it, most hams that are a little longer in the tooth, which sadly includes, I guess, most of us, you know, the question that we're asking ourselves frequently is simply, what can we be doing to encourage more youth participation in ham radio? And I have a bit of a more narrow lens in that not only am I interested in youth and ham radio, but also youth and contesting in particular. And, you know, at the end of the day, it was very clear as we started talking about this amongst the CQ Worldwide Contest Committee that everybody felt that CQ Worldwide in some way had to do its part. Now, some of you who are familiar with the Worldwide Contest may recall that we've created a rookie class several years ago. We call it a rookie overlay, if you will. And that was maybe the beginning of that. The problem with having just a rookie designation is that somebody can still be, in their 70s and have just got their license magically. So they're hardly youth, but they're still qualified as a rookie. So in terms of youth, we really weren't addressing it head on. We were kind of doing it off the side, if you will. And I think we all felt more needed to be done. So, rather than having a bunch of folks sit in a smoke-filled dark room and come up with something, my thinking was that the best way to understand how youth tick and how they would respond to something in the contest world would be to actually ask them. And that's kind of a revolutionary concept, to ask and listen, but in today's world, but that's exactly what we did. And I consulted with two guys in particular, LUNFAM, Luke, and DK6SP, Philip. And I asked them just some very basic questions about how do we deal with youth. And they gave me some pretty interesting information that we took back to the contest committee that resulted in some of the things that we've now decided to do. And what surprised me was that even in today's world where, printed media is rapidly fading into the sunset in many ways, the idea of seeing your call sign in print in a magazine like CQ Magazine or QST is still, in the minds of youth, still a very big deal. And particularly in the contest world, to, actually call them out and to take them seriously and to give them a designation in the contest results is something that nobody's really doing in a broad scale, and something that would have a high impact. And that kind of surprised me that mattered anymore to kids in particular. The other kinds of feedback I got was, there was a Philip in particular mentioned how one of the highlights of his ham radio career, of everything he did, was the time he got a CQ Worldwide rookie plaque. He got a plaque in the mail, and it's proudly on his wall. And of all the things he's accomplished in the years since he first got his license, the thing that he is most proud of is looking at that plaque, and it's a real motivator, he says, for him when he's operating and seeing that thing and realizing that, wow, this is a contest that actually considers younger operators and takes it seriously. And we just wanted to jump on that and grab it even more. So with all that in mind, and realizing that we had a tremendous opportunity here, we discussed a little bit about, what is the real potential out here? Or is this all just kind of wishful thinking? And really, at the end of the day, the driver of all of this is that there's already tremendous YOTA, as it's called, Youth on the Air activities, including some of the things that our host here sponsors, that is involved with camp and other things. And there's a literally in the tens of thousands across the globe of young ham operators, many of which that would probably get more active in contesting if they had more motivation to do it. And it was the collective opinion of both Luke and Philip that if we actually created something special for them, which we've done, then we would begin almost immediately to see literally hundreds of participants, some of which are already playing in the contest, but never bothered us to mail a login because the attitude is, why bother? Well, now they can mail it in. Now they can get their call in print in a very special way. And we're really exciting because now the marketing machine is going to be starting mostly through the IARU organizations around the globe, promoting the fact that there's now an opportunity for youth to be highlighted in the CQ Worldwide in a very special way. I can't wait to, when I write the contest results for next year, one of the things we're going to do as an example is I'll have at least one or maybe even two little sidebar articles that are going to be just focusing on a youth operation and not necessarily the winner. It's going to be more a story of somebody who is maybe 16 years old who operated his first contest and just wants to tell that story for other people to hear. And getting that in print will be a game changer for sure for that person. I think a game changer for youth and a game changer for the contest. So with all that being said, at the end of the day, it was not a hard sell inside the contest committee to really get full endorsement to move ahead and address youth head on. And that's exactly what we've done.
Yeah, I think the hardware is definitely still a motivator, as Philip mentioned. And, you know, I had an article that just came out in NCJ this month about Brazil and how they give out awards and have some of these youth categories. And in some of the Yoda meetings, you know, Lucas was really pushing for, you know, let's do something to recognize these people. So I was really glad to see that CQ Worldwide jumped on board, as well as NAQP and some others of getting this youth category going and recognizing our youth, because they often feel very alone. And that's one of the things that really struck home in doing Yoda Camp this summer was that, you know, these kids actually were meeting other ham kids for the first time, and it really made an impact. So let's talk a little bit about the logistics here. How does the youth category work? How are these young people going to submit their scores so that they are marked as a youth entry?
Okay, well, that's certainly part of the equation for us, and it's part of the equation for the contest in general. We have done a lot of work to simplify the process of submitting logs, at least for the CQ Worldwide, and frankly, the process has been adopted by many, if not most, of the major contests now. The days of taking down and writing paper logs and making a copy and putting it in an envelope and mailing it to some P.O. box, that train has left the station a long time ago. It kind of transitioned to an email process, which for many years was effective. But we've taken it now to the level of being able to actually submit logs online in our case, at cqww.com. And there's a very simplified and walk you through it kind of process where you don't have to be a contester or any of that. Just answer some basic questions, have your log file handy, and it'll even go through the process of validating the format. So if something's messed up in the log by accident or whatever, we can correct that before you even submit the log. So that infrastructure has been in place now for quite a while. And that's exactly how we have, for example, started to collect logs in the rookie category that we set up a while ago, and also the classic entries, which in the CQ Worldwide is a 24-hour. Some would argue the opposite of youth, where the for folks who don't want to operate the full 48 and want to still have a competitive environment, we created this idea of a classic entry, which is a 24-hour entry in the CQ Worldwide. And that allows people who choose to do other things on the weekend besides the radio, or simply don't have the stamina or desire to want to sit there for the full weekend, they can participate in that way. So all that infrastructure is in place. The technical term that we actually call this is not a category, but an overlay. So I wouldn't get too hung up on the terminology, except to say that what we have done is create, similar to what we did for Rookie and Classic, we've created a youth overlay. And when you submit a log in the contest, it will be submitted just like any other log. And you will be asked a question, just as you are if you were submitting a Rookie or a Classic, which is, are you a youth entry? And you can check the box. And we will ask people what year they were born. And that's not because we're out collecting information on people in today's environment, but that was one of the questions that we had to ask was what is youth? Is it 18? Is it 25? In ham radio, if it seems like if we meet somebody who's 40 or 45, we think he's like a youngster now. Right?
Yes.
So the fear was that we didn't want to get it to be so young that we excluded a whole bunch of people and kind of defeated the purpose of what we were doing. So that was one of the questions I asked the guys when we met. And the kind of universal answer was the stake we put in the ground was 25. So if you are 25 or younger during the contest weekend, you are youth. And if you're 26 and older, well, you're old. So it'll be very black and white. But if you want to actually take a look at the website, we haven't actually brought all this up live yet on the youth side, but it will be ready for the contest. But just to see how the log submission process kind of works, it might be worth a spin to take a look at ckww.com/logs.htm, or just the pull down menu on submitting a log, and you can kind of play around with it. The results will be like every other year in the sense that they'll be available in April of the following year for sideband and May for CW. And a lot of people ask, why does it take so long to do the results? And the reality is, with about 90 to 95% completion, we actually could publish the contest results about a week after the contest, believe it or not. Because we have all the data and we have enough logs submitted, because the deadline is only 5 days from the contest, that we can process with our computers and software the logs and get them to a state where we kind of know the results, right? Now, there's obviously all the checking and the cross-checking and all of that still takes time, but the real driver for us, and frankly for most contests, isn't so much when are we done, but it really is subscribing to the publishing deadlines of whoever sponsors the contest. So if it's an ARL contest, they have the same issues where they may be done, but the publishing of the results is slotted for a certain month in a year, every year, and that's when they do it. And given there's so many different contests in the world of CQ and ARL, we really don't have the luxury of kind of just moving the chess pieces around, because if we move it one way or the other, then we're going to impact something else. So we get the what we call the raw scores, or the high claim scores are out there usually within a week after the contest or so. And the final results will be out in April, May. And for the first time for youth now, you'll be able to flip to the results, and you'll be able to see a whole section that'll be titled youth. And in that subcategory or overlay, you'll see all the entries. And I'm really hoping and praying there'll literally be hundreds of them. We'll see how it goes. But there will be a section just for you. And that is hopefully going to be one of the draws to make this thing attractive out of the box and to grow in the future. So that's where we're at.
All right. Great. Sounds great. All right. So yeah, the line seems to be 25. So, yeah, but when you're 15, 28 does sound old. So, whatever. One more thing here before we take a break, along, with that overlay, we mentioned that, there's some hardware that comes along with that. So tell us a little bit about, is this just one plaque or what are the awards here?
Well, the awards are kind of a statement in some ways on how committed we are as sponsors to a particular aspect of the contest. For example, if there's no winning awards like plaques in our case, then that's kind of telling the world we're not that serious, right? So in the case of the youth category or the youth overlay in the youth category, I wanted to make a statement, and I think a statement we have made, and that is that we have created 14 new awards or new plaques that are going to be available starting with the 2021 contest. Now, to give you some context of that, there's between phone and CW combined, there's about 170 or so plaques available in the CQ worldwide. A lot of plaques, right? But 14, I mean, we're creeping up on 10%. So nearly 10% of the award base that will be available in the worldwide will be devoted to youth. And what was particularly exciting about this process, which literally just got completed here within the past week or so, is that I was able to get sponsors for these plaques. And this is people like you and me who, and also organizations that, pay real live folding green money to sponsor these things every year. And I was able to get all 14 sponsorships subscribed and paid for without having to ask anybody. So it was simply because the word got out and the enthusiasm was out there that I didn't have to try to get sponsorships for 14 of these plaques, some of which are being paid over a multi-year period up front. So, just very, very, rough numbers, $1,000 just came flying in to our plaque program, unsolicited in the course of probably only about 2 weeks. And I can tell you when we get these things, made and distributed, there's going to be 14 really, really happy guys and gals around the world. In areas ranging from world high to North America, all the continents, Africa, Europe, Asia, Oceania, South America. And they're going to be very happy to put them on their walls. And I can't wait to see the pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Those smiles are just priceless to see those smiles, I'll tell you. So well done on the awards as well. And it's great that, you didn't have to go out there and shake the trees to get those taken care of. All right. Well, it's time for a break here. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk to John and talk a little bit more about CQ Worldwide after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Thanks for choosing Tower Electronics. How may we help you today? We have PL259s, we have in connectors, we have SMA adapters, we have BNC adapters. What can I show you today?
Where's the tower?
Well, we don't actually have a tower with us, but we have all kinds of things you can use with a tower. We have power poles, antennas, soldering irons, and meters.
Where's the tower?
Ma'am, that's the name of our company. We can't haul towers to all the hamfests across the country that we visit, but we have almost every connector and adapter you would need to connect your antenna that's on your tower.
I don't think there's a tower back there. I really don't.
Tower Electronics. Visit us at a hamfest near you or call 920-435-2973 or see our whole catalog at pl-259.com. Sorry, one thing we don't have is a tower.
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Thanks to Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight. They are out on the road. They're at Shelby, North Carolina this weekend. That's tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday, September 3, 4, 5. And then they're off to Findlay, Ohio, September 12th. Peoria, Illinois, September 18th and 19th. Belvedere, Illinois, September 26th. And then down to Texas and Florida, but you can visit them online at pl-259.com. Ham Talk Live's on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, right here at hamtalklive.com. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And now, before we go back to John, as we do each week, we'll hear from N9GSU. He has some stuff going on, so this may sound familiar, but here we go with this week's Joke of the Week.
Now it's time for the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week, a part of the show where Rick tells us a ham radio joke. The Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week is brought to you by QRM Labs. Now, here's Rick Garrett in 9GSU with today's Ham Talk Live Joke of the Week.
I'll be the first to admit not everyone gets my sense of humor. I tried to send a buddy a joke over slow scan TV, but it wasn't well received.
This has been the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week with Rick Garrett in 9GSU. Tune in again next week for another joke from Rick.
Oh, there we go. It just wasn't well received. Well, we would like to receive your calls. So if you have a question or comment for John, give us a call right now. Now's the time. 859-982-7373. Again, the phone number, 859-982-7373. 7373, or you can tweet at Ham Talk Live, or you can type in the comments on Spreaker. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or on the podcast edition of the show, you won't be able to reach us live because we're doing this on Thursday night. So we do have a couple of messages that have come in, so we'll get to those. First of all, Troy, W9KVR, asks, he says he hasn't done his homework, but will the youth overlay be applied to the Ready contest as well?
Well, Troy, that's a good question. And the short answer is at the moment, no. And not for any other reason, just simply because it hasn't been done yet. I don't want to speak on behalf of their committee and activities, but I'm certain, particularly when we see the results we're going to get in the sideband and CW worldwides, that most, if not all, of the other CQ contests are going to adopt something like this. Certainly in WPX, for example, and Ready and so forth. So stay tuned. Great question. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, very good. And Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD, says, big shout out to K1AR for his long-term leadership in radio contesting, and says, John, do you qualify for the youth category still? Just asking for a friend. Thanks.
Well, I did some math on that, and looks like I missed the window here just slightly by 41 years. So even while directors have certain privileges, getting into Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine is not one of them. So the answer, unfortunately, is no.
All right, there we go. So those are some of the questions and comments that we've had come in on Twitter. Again, it's at Ham Talk Live on Twitter, or type in the comments on Spreaker, or give us a call at 859-982-7373. Well, we talked a little bit about, the need for the youth category, but, NAQP just did this and some others. So talk about the importance of adding this more globally throughout the contest community.
Well, I think if you separate yourself from the world of contesting and broaden your lens to ham radio in general, I don't think certainly the dynamic of youth entering ham radio has changed significantly. I mean, I got my license when I was 12 or 13 years old, had my extra when I was, I don't know, 14 or 15. That kind of a model is sadly unusual today. And it's not because ham radio has become a bad thing. It's just that I think there's so many other distractions in the world of that community that its appeal is not quite as universal as it was 40 or 50 years ago. But nevertheless, we still have something that can be appealing to people of that age group. I'm convinced of that. And we see that when we actually get more intentional about it and not just wish it to be so, but actually take action that, has some definitive impact and not just a bunch of ceremonial nonsense. So, the things that are happening with the youth camps, for example, are very, very specific action-oriented things that are quite successful. And it just proves the point that if we attack it, in a way that is attractive to that particular community and age group, they will come. And I believe that the contest world is something that could be appealing to youth. We see it in isolated cases. I can think of a handful of folks, some of which I've even operated with in contesting, who are really, really good at the sport of contesting, right? And they just took to it naturally. In some cases have actually already become kind of leaders in contesting. And in one or two cases, I think they're barely cracking 20 years old, right? If you look at Philip, for example, DK6SP, I think he's 24 now. He's 3 or something in that range group. I think of guys like NN1C, Marty, who is I think now going to be a sophomore in college, right? So he's kind of in the 20-ish range, who's a very, very recognized and active participant in contesting, right? And you talk to any of them and they say, well, man, we just thought this was the coolest thing ever and we jumped in, right? Well, not everybody's wired that way, okay? So in my view, like anything else, if you want to grow something to the community that is sort of touching it on the edges, you have to give them a reason to come to the party. And who doesn't like to be recognized, right? Who doesn't like to see their in today's world in particular, who doesn't like to see their name in print? Who doesn't like to be viewed as a group that's taken seriously by people who are not in their group? I think all of those factors combined is what's really driving the idea that youth and contesting can be a very positive result for ham radio in general. And that's really what's driving us old guys to have somebody that we can turn this thing over to, because I don't know about you, Neil, but I'm not sure I got too many more sunspot cycles to go here. So we got to be thinking about this now and not later.
Right. Yeah. You gotta keep it going. All right. Well, let's give out one last call here for the phone lines. They are open at 859-982-7373, or you can tweet us at Ham Talk Live, or type in the comments, and just taking a second here to look at all that, make sure we haven't missed anybody. But we're going to wrap things up here shortly. So now's the time if you're going to jump in. 859-982-7373. Let's see. Okay. Troy again says, I think, unfortunately, youth access to equipment can be a factor. And he has youth that do really well at his school, W9GRS. But they don't have access beyond that. So I know there are some options available. We've tried the youth contesting program, and hopefully that will expand to where youth are invited into some of these contest stations and even smaller stations to get on. And then remote ham radio is offering a lot of remote time for young people. So there are some ways around that. Anything you want to add there, John?
Yeah, I hear that a lot today, and it's a very real issue, not only in terms of equipment, but, in terms of, even if you have the ability to get equipment, a lot of people now live in HOA restricted areas, and putting up antennas and all of that is a challenge. I would submit, while it's much more complex today than it was in my day, when I was a kid, it wasn't like I was flowing in money and could just buy any radio I wanted and put up anything I wanted either, right? For me, the key to growing and moving ahead was when I got involved in a contest club, if such a thing is available to somebody who's younger, and really, get involved with people who already had established stations. And what I'm finding more and more is that there's a lot of stations out there that are, sizable stations that are almost going unused at times in major contests for whatever reason, that if somebody wanted to use them or wanted to get involved, I think if we could figure out a way to kind of glue those two pieces together, we could get many more youthful operators to get involved, both in that way and also in multi-ops and things like that. I remember, and I would submit it's no different today. When I was a college student, I remember driving my car to. I was able to be a member of the Yankee Clipper Contest Club, and we had lots of big stations and so forth. And I remember getting invited to several of them over the couple years in the early days, and just that thrill of driving my car up the hill, which is typically what it was, to some contest station, and seeing these gigantic antennas on towers. And I think I'm like at a government installation, right? And this is just a ham station. And I'm thinking of guys like W3LPL and W2PV and W1ZM and the list goes on. It was goosebump time to be able to do that. And I think the combination of figuring out ways to get more access to those kinds of places or smaller stations that are still very adequate, as well as some of the advances being made with remote operating, such as what you mentioned with Ray W2RE and his RHR activities and things like that. There is a path. And, I by the way, one of the great elixirs to solve all of this, at least a lot of it, in terms of station adequacy, is called sunspots. And boy, I'll tell you, when the sunspots come back, and they are coming back, that's what we're all told, there's going to be amazing things that can be done with very little for a couple years. And boy, that's a time to really jump on the wagon and have some fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to some better conditions. So hopefully that'll be around the corner. Well, John, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight to talk about CQ Worldwide and the youth overlay category and the hardware that goes with it and everything. Any final words or any announcements about CQ Worldwide in general that you want to make? Go right ahead.
Well, I can tell you, and I say this to probably everybody, is that even though I've been on the committee for a long time, I guess I never really understood truly what was involved until I was put in charge of it. And it's a pretty significant task, I have to tell you, but one I enjoy thoroughly, to be able to, be an ambassador, if you will, for the CQ Worldwide, and maybe even contesting in general, being able to do things like this evening and all of that. And it's a real honor and a privilege to do that. And to really be part of a team that's an influencer in contesting through the vehicle of the CQ Worldwide. And in this case, I'll just comment on it very briefly in the interest of time. But in addition to the youth overlay that we created this year, we also created a new Explorer category, which I would encourage you just to check out cqww.com and look at that a little bit. And basically, the idea behind that was to kind of remove some of the traditional category barriers, if you will, and rules, and allow technology to prevail and see what people can actually do with technology in contesting in sort of a contesting sandbox. And that's the general theme behind that. And we did this about 10 years ago. It was probably a little ahead of its time. But now with remote operating and the pervasiveness of various communication methods and things, and the way radios and computers and all of it collectively work, I think it's going to be fascinating. I don't expect much more than a few dozen people are going to necessarily do this. But there's going to be, I think, some interesting stories that are going to come out of it. Some of which that who knows what an influence that's going to have on contesting in the future, based on things that they're trying today. So it's another example of something that we're doing to try to try to lead the pack and make some exciting things happen. So that's what we're all about. By the way, if anybody wants to ask questions offline, I don't hide my email or hide behind anything. You can simply just shoot me a note at cqk1ar at gmail.com, and I'm happy to respond to anything that comes my way, which is generally every day. So look forward to hearing from any and all if you have any questions you'd like to ask me offline.
All right, John. Well, thank you so much for your time, your commitment to CQ Worldwide, and your time here this evening with us. And look forward to getting into the contest season here and racking up some numbers. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Been a pleasure, and have a good night, everybody. Thank you for the time.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guest, John Dorr, K1AR, and everyone out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in and typing in, and invite you back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at hamtalklive.com. And if you want to see who's going to be on the show, go there as well, and you can find that. And if you like the show, please leave us a review. That's all we ask. So that's all for tonight. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.
Well, you came right back to my CQ call. Your readability 5 and strength 9. You never want